because I've yet to see it in the 2 months this season's been out, and I said it when it came out. I was like, someone do this play, hit off a launch pad slide, spray into someone's box, and pick up an elim.
I mean, there's Reese trying to farm Twitter followers again, but let's move on from that. I mean, I think sliding was, I think we all thought it was going to bring up the mechanical level of play even higher. I mean, there's a few people that have been practicing it, Vidil being one of them. He's been in the creative lobby, trying to crank it out. Seti, also one of those guys that have been, putting in the hours, as a main type of last trios, now in duos as well. He's been putting in the hours to practice those sliding. If you definitely want to see that, then you should focus on those guys. But that we thought it would have, but it's a pretty cool mechanic, and I'm excited to see how you can sort of cut off people on mid ground and low ground with that mechanic now.
I still think yet. Yet. There's still
yeah.
time. It's
the
one of
keyword.
those things, but it's like
Someone's gonna figure it out.
Someone will figure out how to use it in fights, how to throw people off. Because like at the start of chapter 1, when people building editing, like people were like me and Zeke now, right? We're at that level. And then when the time has passed, people have gotten sufficiently better, obviously incredibly proficient at it. And I think sliding's gonna be the same thing. It's a new mechanic. This chapter and this season just starting. Over this chapter, I think we're going to see an evolution as people get extremely proficient with it.
Yeah, I think that especially like kind of you're saying, right, with chapter 3, season 1 hitting, there's a brand new map, and you kind of have to like forget everything from previous like chapter 2, right? You have to just kind of wipe that away from your memory and say like, I have to learn all of these new areas, these new POIs, these new rotational patterns, where people can be, loot chests, all this new stuff, right? So I think we haven't seen sliding quite yet come online, but I do have faith, right? Like I do think once one person does it, kind of like to your point, everyone else will see it and go, oh, like yeah. Sorry about that. Like, I was trying to really learn my drop spot and make sure that I didn't lose here, but I'm gonna start doing that at my drop spot, and then I definitely won't lose. We'll see. We'll have to see. Now, really quickly, I just wanted to touch on the prize pool here in Chapter 3, Season 1. Now, remember, this is the prize pool going into the finals, so 2 weeks from now. Take a look at this prize pool out of Europe. $1.3 million. Let's just round it up to 1.4. I don't know why. NA East, I mean, Brazil, NA West, Asia, Middle East, OCE. This is a global competition, boys. And this is a lot of prize money here in Europe.
Yeah, a lot of moolah, a lot of dosh, getting dashed out. And obviously, remember, this is just specifically for the finals. So right now, the top 8 teams that qualify through will get to play for this prize pool in the finals. That's what we're looking at once we eventually get these these queuing issues sorted and we're into game. That is what you're going to be looking at in the leaderboards. The top 8 will get to play for this in 2 weeks' time.
Yep, and that is definitely what you want to do, because the new semi-final system is so tough to get through. I mean, that is a lot of money just to be playing for, and you don't want to risk it playing the heat system, because it's a little bit RNG for you, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, placing in that top 8, right? Like, you can start just this first qualifier and hit that top 8 and just guarantee that you're going to finals. You're at least like locking in some amount of prize money, right? You're going to get some amount for just going to finals, and then you have to start thinking about strategies and how you can aim for that top spot. Now, of course, as I like to talk about a lot, you don't even need to win, right? Just coming in like top 5, you're going to see a massive jump in prize money, and that's going to get you a brand new PC, a brand new car, a brand new chair, lots of brand new things, all the snacks you could ever desire. I mean, there's a lot to play for. Now, guys, I want to toss to this real quick. Let's talk about a brand new POI that came back recently. Was recently defrosted. It's Tilted Towers. Have you guys heard of Tilted Towers, Reese?
Never. This is a new POI to me. I've never heard of this place. Sick POI, honestly. Like center map, it has I think the highest amount of chests total, so 57 chests in here, 198 floor spawns, tons of floor tiles. Basically, it's everything you need. One of the most important parts of it is there's 20 safes, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, most of the time there's not as big of utilization for gold unless you're going to greasy. But 32 produce boxes. This is what's really important. So you can always get a ton of peppers because there's just so much loot. Like teams are usually able to split this pretty well. Like we're seeing Kindle the Siptos go here alongside Benji and Mr. Savage. Unfortunately, haven't managed to make it here today, so we'll have to see who ends up qualifying through. From just quickly looking at the map, it seems to be Resac Liam, which obviously I'm a big fan of. Appears to be going there and look at the drop map, so great POI.
I mean, it's a little bit of a tough spot though to play at, especially when you have this many people landing in there. I mean, it's so open. You're sort of dived in within that spot. It's a big hole. It's basically very similar to Daily Bugle, I would say. There's a lot of POIs nearby. There's people that can third party it for free, and you just got to be a little bit careful. So I'm expecting a lot of these guys to be splitting Tilted a lot of the time. You have so much loot, like Reese mentioned, that you don't need to be fighting. I mean, that's what I'm saying every single time. Everyone should just split the spot. We should have 99 people surge, or sorry, 100 people surge, and then my heart will be happy.
I mean, that would be cool. That would be sick. But I think you nailed on a really important point there was the fact that people can rotate in early, right? There's like the loot lake up above it, which has a ton of teams land there. Right now, it seems like we've got 3 teams, and there's the 7 outpost that's up to the northeast that has the rifts in it. I think Stena and Raid are landing there. So if they're smart, they can loot that quickly. They can rotate through to the hills that are on the outside and just get some really easy sturge tags. Just bang, bang, bang on all the players. So the 3 teams assume to be landing in Tilted right now.
Yeah, super enticing POI. I just avoid it, man. For me, it's too high skill. I would just absolutely get bodied. It's not even competition. I'm just walking 50 pot. It's I just don't even go there. I do like the big change that we have seen from Chapter 3 Season 1 is that there's a lot more map space available, right? We kind of saw this in Chapter 2. A lot more trios at that time felt like they had to go to these named POIs, right? If they really wanted to secure a proper split, they had to kind of make these higher risk, high reward plays. But with this new map, it's way more open. There's a lot of these little houses, these little loot paths all around the map where you can just land and you can just say like, okay, I know this, like this is us right here. And at minimum, I know I can open a handful of chests and then we can start kind of coming up with a plan with what's next. Is there any that you guys have that are like, you think might be slept on? Maybe you're like, yo, this one place is real good.
I mean, obviously, firstly, the Cami split that we mentioned earlier, Tikar in the puddle pond right in the center of the map. That spot is absolutely fantastic. Funnily enough, it's difficult to name exactly where these are because they're split, right? They cover such a huge amount of area. But one team who's been doing really well in a split is Lucia and Fury. Has been doing really well in the 7 outposts, just southwest of Greasy Grove. They managed, I think it was like 3rd or 4th in the previous round, just doing super well out of there. Frey's team's actually contesting them right now. So these kind of 7 outposts that have the rifts, that have the vault, if you can manage to get a couple other chests from some of the surrounding areas, you can definitely get yourself a good enough loot pool. Usually you'll need around like 7 chests per person, and you can definitely manage to do that in a ton of the looting path, mainly because it's duos, not necessarily just because of the map.
Yeah, and the thing that I think is slept on a lot is Jones's. I mean, there's not that many good teams that have that, but there are a decent amount of cooler boxes that you do have those. You know, it's pretty small loot. You know, you have a very quick area to rotate past. You can loot it very, very quickly, rotate away for it. You can even get a piece of the south side near Condo Canyon. There's so much potential there for activity. But, you know, you have Kiko and Marsh right there again, Mixon and Rakshus in this final. So it's really spicy. Kiko and Marsh, they've been doing super, super well. You know, the guys from Portugal, very, very underrated. They've been slept on. I'm expecting them to do well on spawn. I have not seen them do spawn yet. They've been jinxed up.
Maybe, yeah, the caster curse is very real.
I'm new to this, sorry.
It happens. Guys, super quick, what I want to talk about now is like this trio to now duo. Like for me, I like to try and think about this in like the terms of like everyone kind of sharing power, right? Like in our situation, there's 3 of us, so if we engage in trios, if I was to be eliminated, we still have like 66% of our power, right? In Reese and in
I mean, with us, it would probably be like 95.
Okay, he's got all the power. But when you're looking at like a duo, right? If one of your duos does fall, that's 50% of your power gone, and then you're stuck in this 1v situation while also trying to like maintain your down trend. Right? Not full confirmed him. They're still down but not out, and they're kind of crawling around. Then you're kind of putting you in a position where you're like, okay, if I go for the revive, I'm playing into their hands, right? So how do you guys feel like Duo should be approaching this kind of shake-up, right?
Oh, I think the thing I love about duos now is the clutch potential. In trios, like you mentioned before, if you're a solo, you're going up against 3 people. If you're a solo, you could be going up against 2 people. But now in duos, you're going to be a solo, and you know, there's a bunch of solos running on the late game, and we're going to see a lot of very exciting clutches coming out. I mean, we saw, Anas in the qualifiers. I mean, this guy absolutely popped off as a solo. He got like 70 points by himself. So, you know, those are the moments that I live for. Those solo clutches, you don't need to revive your teammate. You know, that guy's not important. As long as you have that confidence and you can, you know, go throughout the late game and you have a Spider-Man in your hand, I think you get top 5 pretty easy.
Definitely, and you can't talk about clutches without talking about Thomas HD, right? Yeah. It's like he's made for this mode for duos to pop off, and the problem is honestly that Tayson just probably won't be eliminated that often, so we're not going to see a Thomas HD pop off. Like the way that I like to look at this. Whoever's leading, is that going to be player opening it? He's looking one direction. The player behind him is acting like but a lot of times just when you see a big spray coming onto that first person, he goes down quickly and it's like, right, Thomas HD, it's your time now, let's go.
I think it's a good thing they mentioned the spray as well. I mean, this meta is very, very tough to play as duos. I mean, we have very high fire rate weapons with the MK7 and the Stinger SMGs. I mean, these guns, if you're in a bush and there's someone looking at you, you are gone within a second. So you got to be very, very careful in these situations. To not, you got to cover your back, you got to be careful, and there's going to be a lot of solo clutches today, for sure.
Yeah, and I think like utilization of an armored wall becomes even more important in endgame, right? Like usually if someone in endgame is down to wood, it's like this is the flashing signs, right? It's like this guy has no materials, he does not have much. This is a free elimination. This is 3 points right here. So once you're down to that wood, like utilizing those armored walls is super efficient to try and keep yourself away from focus from say a height team, from a low ground team, especially if you're on like the dead side of the zone. You can place one on the wall, cover the majority angles and be totally fine. So it's like there are counters in there when it comes to endgame, but
I love that too, because when you think about it, right, like if you have none of these armored walls and you're able to like eliminate another duo rather that has not utilized them, because again these are so pivotal, right? They can just buy you this massive window of survivability. And it's always like, do I use it now? Like, is it that time? Or maybe if I just wait this additional minute to make sure I can get this high ground, I can use it to secure something later. And it is that very like high risk, high reward, right? If you burn it too soon, you're going to get sprayed. Or maybe the storm moves away and you just don't utilize it at all. But at the same time, if you save it and you're like looking for that perfect opportunity, that opportunity may never present itself. So a lot of that is, we're going to see these like kind of back and forth. It's always this constant mind game that I love to see in Fortnite specifically. And to kind of touch on like the speed, right? Like the TTK, the time to be eliminated, so to speak. I like the speed. TTE, good, there we go.
Come on.
I like I'm trying, man. I'm keeping up. I'm doing my best, all right? I'm so old now. It just happened. The time to be eliminated is so much shorter, right? In the past, you've seen things like you walk around a corner, your pump shotgun out, you do 200, and that's it. The player's gone, right? And that's it. They can't even really like react. Now with this high meta, a lot of these players, they're gonna get beamed, but if you react quick enough, you can still catch yourself, right? You can still put up any kind of defenses or move away, hide behind these corners. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on the MK7 and the SMG. You guys talked about it, and I want to kind of dive into this subject specifically. Let's start with the MK7. Red dot side, right? Brand new to Fortnite, completely changes things up. If you've not played with it, you need to hop into Fortnite and check it out. It's crazy. But one in particular, there's one that's the most deadly, and it's that mythic MK7, Reese.
Yeah, and right now it's in Sanctuary, right? You have to manage to get yourself through the foundation, the rock. He's going to try and rock bottom you, whatever he can do to get you out and to get his self clutches on that. But right now it's Wolfie and Mr. J. Herlander. There seems to be uncontested. They're going to manage to get the mythic MK7 to themselves. Like, the fire rate on this thing is absolutely nuts. The kind of, I almost want to say the downside of it is the fact that it uses so much ammo. And in this season, the fact that ammo boxes are a lot rarer means that there's not as much spray potential once you're just holding that thing down, because a lot of times both players won't have an AR. That's the Stinger SMG comes in the other four.
I mean, I have to be honest, I think I've had that gun maybe twice. All the other times I've gone to the Sanctuary in order to get that MK7. Let's not talk about it. I mean, the gun is kind of ridiculous, and you might see some players go down today to that NPC. I mean, there is a way to do that for those of you that don't know. If you go up very high and use a harpoon, then you can eliminate the rock.
Oh nein, ich habe fuck, meine erste Runde. Meine zweite Runde ich verloren habe. Aber ich kann Healer. Oh Mann, Junge.
I mean, yeah, those are one of the ways you could do it, but a lot of people, you're going to be very exposed if you're building up there in order to eliminate the rock from fall damage. So you're going to be exposed to other people. I've seen a lot of people fall with fall damage. It's kind of a scary spot. Going through to the Stinger SMG that you mentioned, Zeke, I mean, that gun is going to be the primary loadout in almost every single player. I mean, we've seen a sort of a difference of players' loadouts. We've got aggressive duos using Stinger SMG and MK7 together. We've had a few people try to use the Striker together with an SMG, but it's easier to just jump to a box with an SMG than to hit someone with a shotgun in the face. So I think we're going to see a lot of SMGs. Endgame is going to be very, very loud.
Let's hope so. That's what I live for. Really quickly, I'm getting word from the old bus driver to let us know that we're going to game number 1 because not all of the duos made it in. We're just going to scrub that game and make sure that everyone can get in. It will play 6 matches today. We won't miss out on any of the action. We have a little bit of time here before we can jump on the battle bus. It just means we get to pick Reese and Boop's brains, man. They're so good at this. They know how to break this all down. Let's go back to this list of our qualified players. 50 duos competing here in round number 3. This is just qualifier number 1. Now we talked about these names here, right? We highlighted them, we kind of zero in on them. So let's talk about some of these other names that we haven't necessarily talked about. You've got someone like Scram in Ref's Guard, right? Scram going, let's go there in the intro of the show. He was super hyped. How are you feeling about this duo coming into the competition today?
I mean, they're one of 2 duos who have been playing together since World Cup, right? They've been together for the longest time. Obviously, they were together in trios for a bit. They ended up splitting up after a while, but now they're back together in duos. You know, honestly, like, the performances so far this season haven't been amazing. You know, I'm not going to lie. They haven't been through the roof. Not a single round 2 qualified of the cash gun. So it's like, you know, there hasn't been huge performances from them specifically, but they're doing well in FNCS. They're a super experienced team. So potentially this is their time to shine.
The two teams that I actually want to look at here is Gambit2 and Putrick and Mustache and Malabuka. Now these guys both land at Camp Cuddle together, so we're going to see some spicy things going on there. But you got to be a little bit careful because these are 2 very aggressive duos. They're going to butt heads, but we have seen them sort of split it sometimes as well though. So I wonder if they're going to try to play aggressively with each other, but more than likely we'll just see them wait for each other and then rotate away from each other.
Yeah, I think another super important top pick here would be Stormy Wright and Kiriachi. You can see in the middle, second down there, landing in the Jam Lumberyard. Now, these guys have been together the majority of times, but sometimes it's Seti's team who is there with Chapix, who unfortunately hasn't qualified today. Sometimes it's Juriki and iDrop, and these fights go back and forth, but today they have this drop spot all to themselves. So they're looking really strong off spawn. Again, these guys are both FNCS champions, Chapter 2 Season 7 trios alongside Juice at the same time, who obviously Boop just mentioned here. They are super experienced when it comes to FNCS. They are super good duos. I remember Kiriachi all the way back in Chapter 2 Season 2 was an absolute top player back there. Someone to be feared at the time. And hey, an entire chapter later, same thing's happening.
It'd always be like that, right? Like once a terror, always a terror, always a menace to the lobby. It just be like that in Fortnite, man. Now we do have a little bit of time here to hang around with as we prepare for the battle bus. We're kind of finding our seats. We last but until then, you guys gotta check this out. We put together this piece called Storm Chaser. It's testing these players' ability to predict where the storm is gonna go, and of course we have to give them points so that one of them can be the winner. But yeah, what else? What more do you want? Let's check this out.
Caramba!
Okay. A bit left, sleepy sound. Yeah, it's good like that.
On the mountain, like top of Shifty. Like that, yeah. I'm going like Shifty.
Oh mein Gott, ich hab beide.
On the road above Shifty.
Ich hab alle Lob.
Like on the road above, like between the mansion.
Warte, ich bin mit dir.
Oh, das wird schwierig.
Schwere Pump kommt weg.
A lot of zones they pull in more, and you can't pick a center against a lot of times. I don't think it's going to be Shifty, but it will be somewhere around Shifty. I was thinking Logjam that's going to pull in, and it's going to be somewhere around Logjam, in between Shifty and Logjam.
Oh, that's a good one.
Mann! Das war Grablo.
Wir spielen Trios.
Wir sind wenigstens die 2 ersten Spieler, die gut sind. Ich geh mal auf andere Seite.
Oh, okay.
Ты просто боишься.
Go to the right or to the left, but
Okay.
Okay,
so a beat right to the lake is outside. Yeah, there.
Komplett lost, ich habe euch beide geholt.
Under Greasy, there's like a group of trees under Greasy.
Schwere Comeback, wieder.
Jetzt Krios spielen.
Ja, komm, warte.
Ich hab den einen eingeladen. Sorry, schau.
Ich komm gleich auch. Warte, ich tritt bei.
Ja, so du bei und wir gegen.
Ja, ich komm gleich vor.
Hey, Lobby.
Nein, warte, komm. Ja, komm jetzt doch.
Digga, der pinke, dieser pinke Superheld. Der macht so ein, der geht durch und weg nach hinten. Okay, der verlässt mich.
Yay.
There you have it. Their ability to predict the storm, pretty dang good. And of course, I was trying to be nice about it, Reese. Come on, man.
Look, we're sitting here in the back. We got them all wrong anyway, so you know, we're just.
Hello.
I was like, you know what?
Eu sou aqui muito pro player. Eu sou muito tryhard. Parece que eu tryhard não sei hoje. Ele tryhard por carregar. Olha, deu um dano.
Seriously have to go check this out. We had an incredible team come in. It's a competitive island for us to hang out in and watch FNCS together. Kinds of incredible things. So Battle Bus in the middle with a giant Llamatron. There's all these games you can win and compete against each other, close to purchase. So many incredible things to check out. So please,
Bye.
Now, with that being said, we have about a minute before we jump.
Sou contra pro player. Sou crazy para pro player. Olha pro player. Muito pro. Acho que tryhard.
The reason why the battle bus didn't go is because you guys didn't thank the bus driver. I saw this statistic on Twitter before. About 30% of players actually thank the bus driver in Grand Royale. I mean, obviously this guy's not going to thank the bus driver. Otherwise, you're just going to get left behind.
Okay, realize I'm gonna be laser focused. I
Who
is this time I think the best stats man behind. I think we need to actually see exactly who hasn't thanked
What
the
the
bus driver. Yeah, deduct some points, punish them. Wow.
There you go from the analytical minds of Reese Hub and Boop. Make sure you thank the bus driver. They are constantly working day in and day out. Offering 100 players per match times whatever matches are all happening at the same time.
Ela é uma pro player. Ai, eu não sabem jogar, não. Tão bom. Não dá. What? Não, mano.
O terceiro grupo. E daqui quero uma maravilha.
Yeah, look, you want to start how you mean to finish. I think the big thing is certain players, you know, very young guys, you know, players who are still mature,
kan je tegen zielten gevonden.
If you have the rhythm, if you're feeling good, you don't want to allow one bad start to off-rail that and really affect your chances of being able to make it to the finals. So, first game doesn't go your way. You've got time to reiterate, think about what went wrong, and go back again.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of different ways to analyze it all, and I like the fact that you bring up rhythm. You know, there's definitely an ebb and flow inside the game. I feel like sometimes I'm just watching music while these players are running around the entire map, but that first song is almost starting. There'll be 6 in total to go. You know, what point threshold there is, so many questions that all happen after we see who gets that first victory royale. The end games have kind of been changed a little bit longer. We've got Spider-Man putting on this wall to make sure mobility is insane for every team. They have them. And of course, all the POIs around the map have changed. There's so many brand new things in this FNCS, and the most important is that it's duos. If you haven't watched in a hot minute, if you missed the last season of Grand Royale Ball, don't worry, it's game 1 and it's starting right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. FNCS qualifier 1, round 3, 50 duos, 8 spots, 2 excited casters. Shayo, there is nobody I'd rather spend this moment with than yourself.
Absolutely likewise, my friend. You can see the entire map has
switched up. Benny,
Mr. Savage gonna win Monica. Hello. Mr. Savage and Benny Fisher gonna win the cup.
I'm saying that one make it out alive.
Thomas and Taysom with the better landings, forcing Joe and Vino to scurry away, but that's not it. There are still plenty of players in Grove to be had, so while these guys have the baton, just for now, things can quickly change, and so it's going to be about getting that loot as quickly as possible, getting yourself a loadout, and getting ready to really just go down and fight it up.
Yeah, a lot of duos, a lot of players were on go before set and ready, though, right before this all started already. 5 duos down, Lazen with a few eliminations in the feed. Vino and Joe actually wrap all the way around and actually end up somewhere else besides Golden Cavern. Thomas and Taysom, though, will have the majority of the loot to rock with at the very start. I like Thomas on any team, by the way, a new duo. You might see him playing last year in different trio of catch cups. He changes everyone's dynamic to always be the first step. He's always there before and making the first move before his opponents. That's why I feel like he's so powerful and why he likes that sniper rifle so much.
Yeah, it's been a long time in terms of Taysom in this one, right, where he's had to sort of lead someone with him, and who better to lead than Thomas, right? You know, you give this guy an inch and he will take a mile, and so with the vault also available to them, right, even if you aren't the team actually at Covert that initially gets the key card and opens the vault, there's so much loot in there. We'll just roll in afterwards, and it's going to be, you know, really easy for you to find yourself a cheeky amount of shields and loot as well. So really nice so far. Pink actually going to get the reboot, but he's going to try to get away.
And did you see that? That's insane. That's a new mechanic. I'll explain in just a second. But Pink almost getting an off-up. Have a line of sight on the He's trying to tree behind it. Some trees actually fall down like logs and end up doing damage, displacing enemies. And because of this awesome lumberjack type action, Pink has now gone into a completely different game. He was about to be with a teammate up, ready to loot again. One chop of a tree, one block, and now he's just gone.
Yeah, and I'll be real to you, Pink. This is not
E pois é, tinha
to call the spot Pink split. You gotta really, you know, be able to put the work there. He takes
Oh.
the lead there, which is obviously gonna be nice, but
Poi, será que isto é cego?
to get his teammate and Nas up.
Eu acredito,
Time to do that in this lobby, but initially here, Pink and Nas not getting off to the brightest of starts.
Isso não sumiu ou a voz de um gajo parece no robô que eu vi. Eu gosto de ver isso.
You will know that splashes have kind of spread around the entire map now. It's not just Slurpee and a few set POIs that have them. It's the majority of the map now that can kind of benefit from the free metal, from the free shield as well. And as a result, every player has a lot more minis to work with, and they need the extra boost. A lot of the time, Levin, if you're watching round 2, these games end up with 40 alive and like the second last zone still. Like it's going crazy. No one wants to go down. It seems like people are fighting for their life. And it's just close.
people understand what's on the line, right? An opportunity to play in that finals is huge, and so making it through those games are tough. You know, some players might even find that these games are easier than those, if anything. It's just how intense they've got. So look, we'll see how these games sort of stack up in terms of players left alive as we get to those later zones. But yeah, round 2 was really, really difficult.
Yeah, let's specify the line though. What do these players do? What are they shooting for to make the finals?
Honestly, right, in terms of getting that top 8, you want to make sure that you are consistent across these next 6 games, right? You know, we've talked about certain teams being very aggressive, certain teams maybe not being able to get as many eliminations as they'd like. Ultimately, it comes down to who's going to make these end games, who's going to rack up them points when it matters. And it's no easy task. There's many different routes and paths you can take towards doing that, but that's where you want to be. Beyond. And so, Floki Clement, a team that's on our screen here, a duo that's actually, you know, played with each other last season throughout trios, has a lot of chemistry. They're definitely a team out of chonkers who you'd expect to be able to make it to those phases of the game.
Yeah, I feel like Clement and Floki specifically are finally free now, all the way at chonkers. Before, it seems like they were trapped by so many people around them, forced to do things like Let's is right now. He's in an all-in situation, going down. Unfortunate. But, you know, it just seems like a lot of teams are now in a different spot entirely. They get to play their games out with a fresh new set of stakes.
Yeah, Gogos and Eclipse will take out Alecci and Swilliam. That is not ideal. Alecci, one of the fan favorites, you'd say, in the competitive community around Europe, but off to a mediocre start right now out of Chonkers. It's going to be difficult, right? You know, Boop in the pre-show talks about how some of these POIs you don't necessarily have to fight. And that's true. Everybody has that mutual understanding. But as soon as somebody steps on your toe, you know, you got to respond, you got to retaliate, and unfortunately...
Parabéns, que campanha, parabéns.
Cami, Seti, and Teak, this is really interesting. Of course, they have access to a Whiplash vehicle from their spot, and the reason why it's so great is because you can see how they're just able to traverse so much land in such quick time, get all the way across the map if necessary. Of course, the Whiplash allows you to boost as well if you need to really go the distance. And this is something. This is just, you know, basic competitive Fortnite mechanics. You can see he's picking up the fire. Make sure that they burn down. It means just more lines of sight, more vision, more opportunities to get yourself some surge tags. Just basic fundamentals there. But if you're at home and you're trying to get a bit better, something to pick up on.
Absolutely. Now we'll see a little bit of aggression coming through. Tooth on the back foot. Kusak actually pushing up, but this is the danger of trying to engage from a fight from such long range. A third party from the right side actually makes their entire push just turn into a vortex of shots. Now Future can use that a little bit of that high ground. Can't turn around, middle of a match, just hold it down. This is just unfortunate, already burning through those splashes. It seems like a little bit of an all-in already. The loadout from Tisa not looking good here on the top right. Future is looking high and mighty, though. He's fine, just waiting this out.
Yeah, this is one of them situations where Tooth and Futric do have the advantage up above. They can put the pressure on. And it's going to be really hard for Resac and Teeson to actually put on a contest here. But they're going to play the waiting game, and they have time. They're in zone. No need to rush. No need to make any rash decisions. But it's going to be difficult here. Of course, you can see Futric Tooth going to continue to farm loot up. They've not got their full loadout set. Going to need to get some materials as well. Futric struggling in that department, but in the meantime, they've got to worry about the players below them.
This is not the worst spot to just kind of base up and chill for a moment. Will be shared on both sides in terms of just making sure each team can stay alive in this building, and a good vantage point for Futric more than most. Right now with NKM 7, he can just look out at anyone he really wants to, take a few tags here and there. Andy with a pickup in the feed as well. So fights are still breaking down across the map. But this is where things might get a little bit slower overall. You want to make sure you're not making too many mistakes. You're talking about that loot level. I don't think Futric can afford to take trades right now. You just need to land shots and be careful, because that shield amount is not that high. If that goes lower, the mat count is not that high either. There's not much left to farm until they actually get into an engagement down below. They're kind of stuck. It doesn't look like it.
Potentially for Sammy, Ali.
At this stage in the game, you know, you really want to be much higher materials than 17 builds, which is what Futric's on. So, you know, I wouldn't say you start hitting the panic button, but they have to start thinking of a plan. How are they going to get their material count up? Because if you get to endgame, that's all going well, but you can't get there with some good resources. You know, it's going to be a dire situation. You can see here, pulling towards the south. Rocky Real's just in, Greasy Grove just in, and all those players north going to start making their way down.
Ja, dat wil ze joinen.
One of those teams that will have to make that rotation at some point. You can see them.
Dai, cavaio mocoli.
Yeah, this is like the part where I love watching Aqua the most. Remember the zones always a different style, right? Actually going a little bit more central, not going towards one of the biggest sides of the hemisphere of the zone. You don't have to go right or left. Everyone's just move in. Aqua ends up getting some crazy positions. From that point where sometimes, you know, Levany makes that call, let's just, you know, go height. Let's just forget everything and try to go for a main objective no matter how risky it is. Before that, though, this is where I think he's the most cerebral. Him and Noah Riley are going to be moving in ways no other team really can. I'm curious to see exactly where they choose to set up and why they do. With 75 players still alive, more importantly, 38 teams, it's going to be pretty tight in terms of where they can actually, you know, just make a castle.
Man, you can see they're not white lining the zone, right? They are going, you know, further south towards the southeast, and you know that's a conscious effort to actually go out there and make sure they have good positioning away from a lot of the players in the lobby. You can see here some fights going on in the zone. This is the stuff that gets rough, guys. you know, it's not easy going for everybody in the lobby. You can find yourself in those sticky situations outside of the safe zone, and you saw right there what can happen. It doesn't work out well a lot of the time.
This team talked about a little bit as well. Mustache and Malabuka, who, yeah, I kind of agree with Reese's take in terms of one of the most impressive teams that we've seen this entire season. If you look at Cash Cup placements, if you just look at the synergy these guys are rocking in with, it seems like every Cash Cup has a little bit of a different theme. Sometimes it's a little bit more Elam heavy. Sometimes the zones are kind of strange for everyone. No matter what the problem is, though, Mustache, Malabuka, they're there to adapt, and they look really good. Pink and Anas, though, in this instance, still stuck all the way in covert. Joe and Vino, it seems like everyone that's been pressured by Thomas and Tayson is left behind in the storm or having trouble bringing their way back into the game.
Yeah, it's funny. We talk about how Covert has so much loot that, you know, you can come back at any point and find something, but, you know, we're starting to get a bit extreme here. Of course, you know, these guys will have a long way to go in terms of getting out, but there are vehicles available, and we'll expect them to start making those moves now. Pink and Anas, Joe and Vino, both two great teams, right? Two very interesting teams. Joe and Vino actually won round 2. That was just before this, so they'll be looking to try and, you know, match that momentum, keep that pace up. It's a bit of a rocky start. We saw off spawn, they got out-dropped by Tayson and Thomas, which isn't great ever. But unlike most people that go up against Tayson and Thomas, they were able to get out of it alive.
And you'll notice, too, if you're watching a bunch of these teams in Storm, there's a hissy noise. Your headset's not broken. Your speakers are fine. It's Med Mist, which is a new addition to the season. It helps a lot of teams who like to have that little bit of zone play, especially in the early game, able to do that and then move that much more as well. It makes your scouting a lot better. It lets you get these items, do the strats that Levin's talking about, especially in the end game as well. You can stay active, follow your teammate, which is one of the most important things, especially in duos. You get lost, it's not like you have an extra support beam to kind of latch onto. You have to really stick side by side with your team, and you can dip in and out of the zone at full speed with the mist. So it's a huge addition. Joe will choose to use it at the start just to bolster up, as Levin mentioned, an unfortunate drop that got beat by Tayson and Thomas. And then now they're looking good inside the zone.
And we're seeing the effects of having that scuffed early game, right? You know, of course they are above on Surge, which is, you know, great positive, but you look at the loot, you look at the materials, in terms of a pathway to winning out this game, things get really difficult, right? This isn't going to be the easiest of journeys for them at every stage in the game.
Ja, es gibt einfach Rätsel nur in wichtig.
Ah, je te gole. Sakın ama was. Was. Girl. We are child. I'm weird and I know it. Let's go land on that because he's gay. I'm gonna. Oh. Oh man, the kid is gay. Quick, 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 quick. I'm 12. Hey, quick. No. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Go rebuild me, please, please. No, heal up. Yeah. Should have used the bandages. Pick up the bandages. Build. Oh, no, oh. GG's. Allô? Ah, je crois français. Ça va? Ça va et toi? Au calme, on est là. Tu vas où? Grésy, en vrai. Grésy. Ah, t'as acheté une grosse skin. Ouais, je l'aime bien. Ouais, il est grave stylé. Dans ce mode, on peut avoir il y a la carte au trésor.
Il y a la carte au trésor.
Ok.
Mais je la trouve pas. En or massif, elle y est pas de toute façon.
Oh, dommage. Bon, après, suivant son autonomie, on fait du avec elle.
Ouais.
Mais d'où ils sont deux dans mon bot?
Je suis même pas à TV.
Il y a...
Ah, ok, je suis dans le bot juste à côté de toi.
Mais j'ai Alliance Requête. Vraiment, j'ai Alliance Requête comme un... Vas-y, viens.
De toute façon, je suis mort.
Oups. Oh, j'ai KO. Let's go, ça.
Je suis mort.
T'es mort? J'arrive.
Oh, je suis monté dans une caisse.
Attends, il y a un mec aussi.
Il est monté dans ma caisse.
D'où il y a... Non, il y a MP90. Vas-y, je suis
tout le temps dans mon bâtiment. Et puis, le mec qui me court après, il me lâche pas. Laisse-moi tranquille. Oh, bah voilà. Laisse-moi tranquille. Oh, j'ai fait tout
le let's go. P90. Oh non, il y a son pote, putain.
Tout le monde est sur moi. Je viens de tuer quelqu'un sans faire exprès.
Oh, ils sont pas exprès, ça arrive.
Si tu veux, j'ai une arme, j'ai un kit.
Non, t'inquiète. Bah, nickel, ça.
Je vais tuer des gens avec.
Franchement, je crois que c'est une des meilleures armes qui est sortie.
Mais frère, mais comment tu... J'ai fait un kill, j'ai fait exprès.
T'inquiète.
J'espère que t'as des armes.
Ouais, t'inquiète, j'ai Alliance Rocket et une...
Il m'a mis bien. L'autre, il m'a mis bien.
Tu l'as tué?
Ouais, bah le mec que j'ai tué sans faire exprès. ARPM et...
ARPM, ok. Oh, hello.
Coucou les loups. Je vais faire exploser là. Zombie à l'autre.
J'arrive. Si j'arrive à te trouver aussi. Ok, je vois. Il y a une roquette, attention les gars.
Moi je suis mort. Fais gaffe, il y en a un autre. Fais gaffe, il y en a un autre. Ok, il s'en fout toi. Ah oui, c'est bon, non. Il s'en fout pas. Fais gaffe, il y en a un, il rush. Ouais, tu l'as vu, bien joué.
Non. Ça va toi sinon?
Ça va, hein? Ah. Vas-y, attends, je t'invite.
Ouais, vas-y. On quitte?
Ouais, je t'invite.
Vas-y. Je mets un autre, il bouge pas.
Je crois pas, non, chérie.
Ouais, allô? What? Allô? Allô? Il y a un Scar! Le mec, il y a un Scar! Allô? Ah merde, je suis con, mais... Oh, on est en massif, ah ouais. Bah non. Ouais. Allô? T'as un micro? Allô? Vous m'entendez? Et Rim? Non, et Rim, ouais, on t'entend, mec. Tu sais, c'est pas Rim qui parle, c'est Dylan. Ben, je sais. Mais putain, mais t'aurais pas dû... J'ai un prank, Ruben, tu me fais chier. Non, désolé. Après, non, il devait dire tu vas appeler ton grand frère et tout. Je vais faire ça, c'est mon frère. Hein? Ah ouais, prochaine game, on fait genre tu fais ta voix normale, puis tu fais allez hop, je te repasse mon petit frère. Puis après tu fais les gars, vous avez vu, ça c'est mon frère le charreau, il fait défiler tout défile dans son lit, ça me fait venir. Il y a pas wesh. Les gars, vous me laissez le gros bat. Il y a pas wesh. Il y a pas de ces gros mais c'est rare d'être... Ah, c'est rare, je viens de trouver des armes en or. Oh, c'est trop rare. Oh, c'est rare, j'ai mal aux couilles. C'est vrai, c'est rare d'avoir mal aux couilles. Oh, 290 morts. Oh, 290 morts. Attends, t'as fait 290 morts. Snipe. Bah ouais, il finit. Bah allez, moi je vais le quitter, ça me saoule. Mais non, gros rageux de merde, va. Non, tu quittes pas, frère. Et je bats. Oh merci frère. Je bats. Je bats. Mais non, fais chier, je te jure. Putain. Il sait pas rigoler, hein. Il sait jamais rigoler, le mec. Il peut parler sur nous et quand on parle sur lui, il quitte direct, frère. Ouais. Attends, je la lutte. Ravite-le. Ouais, c'est ce que je fais. Il s'est déco, je rêve. Il s'est déco. Allô Noah? Bah attends, pour moi il est encore là. Bah pareil. Oh frère, c'est pas marrant Noah, c'est encore là. Et ma carte elle pue. Ah bah voilà, bah t'es là, tu les terrasses. Ma carte elle pue les gars. Je crois que j'aurais pas le temps frérot. Moi j'ai cru que t'étais déconnecté hein. Ouais, je t'ai entendu quand même. Ah mais t'es là-bas, je peux pas la rechercher frérot. Ah qu'est-ce que tu spawn là-bas toi aussi? Frérot, prends là-bas. Je respecte toute la game, ça me fait chier le coup. Tu me respectes ou pas? Moi je respecte les deux. Putain. Oh Dylan, je peux décider ta game. Tiens. Prends. Ouais, le skin de la fondaise. Oh non. Non, t'as bien joué le skin de la fondaise. Mort. Cavale. Et par contre, le mec qui est dans notre game, il est trop sympa. Oh le bâtard. Je me sers un peu du tout. On relance. Et là, Ruben, tu fais pas le con parce qu'on va faire le prank. Et Dylan, t'as pas quitté. Non, tu vas pas Dylan, quand... Le mec... Il s'est balles, il la graille, mon pote. Mais en plus, il a dit, je me suis rappelé. Je suis con, je suis en Moyen-Orient aussi, c'est pour ça que je veux... Attends, non, tes paramètres. Est-ce que t'as mis les flous mouvements? Non. Ok. Parce que comment on met les flous mouvements? Mais tu vas dans tes paramètres et là, au premier truc, au premier truc, là c'est écrit luminosité et tout, mais en bas c'est écrit afficher les FPS et puis les je sais pas.
Et voilà, espèce de bâtard. Mais voilà ce coup bâtard là.
Les gars, vous aimez bien mon skin ou pas? Ah, il a quitté. Oh ouais les gars.
Et
est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Et ça va le serveur privé?
Bah non frérot, en serveur privé on peut pas jouer avec les gens.
Bah si.
Non.
Ah oui?
Ça se voit tout de suite.
Ah oui, pourquoi toi la VOA?
Parle en français s'il te plaît.
Attends, Mathé?
Pourquoi? Pourquoi?
Mathé?
Mais mon ch'ti. Attends mec, tu veux voir les skins les plus rares du jeu?
Ouais, oui, je sais, ah oui, je sais, de un serveur privé.
Il y a des françaises.
Waouh! Waouh, les coups, les serveurs privés. Non.